It's Thursday the 7th of September, and after a very enjoyable trip down to Wisley, I'm back on the nursery and seeing how things have developed here over the last few days. Has been one or two sort of cold spells, and we did have some rain, so there is a lot more colour about, but one we expected to see a bit more. But a week today we'll have cut and we'll have finished and we'll have staged our stand at Harrogate. And the judges will probably have made their decision by now, so it's all going all prep for next week, working out what we can take. So looking here at Westerton Hella Grace, which having some outside as well. I'm hoping we'll be able to put a nice group of that on our stand, and I thought I'd try some Roger Turrell undercover to see how they would do. Last year we grew it outside. We found it a very, very weatherproof variety. And there'll be potentially one or two of those to include on the stand. It's not everybody's favourite, but as I say, we do find it very weatherproof, doesn't seem to mark in the rain, and that's shown on the ones I have got outside, that they're just looking as clean as those are. And then for my own personal use, more importantly, it's how are the FIMs doing with the challenge I have with one or two growers, particularly Carl Hamnet, and we shall see. Panicking. 7 days, will I have anything to cut? 2 Normandy frills, it'll be probably okay by Saturday, but finished by Wednesday. There's plenty of buds there, all starting to break open. I'm hoping we'll be alright. Another third of Soleil, again they're starting to break up, so I suppose if we get some decent weather and some warm nights, we'll probably be alright. Good job the show wasn't like this weekend, otherwise there'd be no chance. And then with Kenora Macop B, which being much stronger than last year. The plants outside that I've got are the same vigour and height of these, and they're just starting, the buds just starting to crack open there. And then Terry Bandy, the orange FIM, well, I must admit, doesn't look to be too much FIMing on there yet. It seems to develop later on that one. And Normandy Wedding Day, again I've got a very even batch outside. The history of these was we had to replace a few plants because they just went off with a bit of root death. And then we have some Kenora frills, which is probably always the latest one and probably the one least likely to be used. So we shall have to see. Going to the trials there though, Westerton Lillian and our cream Westerton Lillian Sport. We should see how that's, if there's much difference to that by Harrogate. Not that it'll be anything that would be releasing for next year. It hasn't proved itself yet. We'll see whether we've secured it or not. This looks interesting. Saw it last year at Wisley. We sent tubers by Phil Godsmark, and this is his Rycroft Huntsman, which is really strong stems. Yes, they're undercover, but I've got flowers outside that haven't marked either. And as an addition to our general catalogue is a red medium deck. We're desperate for one, and that actually looks very strong, very powerful. The plants are standing about 4 foot high. And then Rycroft Gladiator, the same, they're approaching 4.5 foot high. Then we have Mary Margaret. And this one, these great big buds are Tom East. And we have potentially some flowers to be developing, on purple Duncan Edwards. Corson Gold. And there we have Steve Megos. Beb's Ada Hill, which is a sport of John Hill. And then I'm hoping we'll have a few blooms of this to take to Harrogate. Trying to work out, might just be one central one in the middle of the stand, who knows. Right, through the rest of our trials, got one that came across from America that I hadn't read the proper classification for this one, Max Lorry Jean. I had it down as a small, but that's not a small. Looks very attractive though. Not a show variety, but the colour is quite nice. Then we have Barbary Gala. And Barbary Patriot coming away there. Rossendale Hero. These are all in the open. We have Rycroft Bella, which is shown up there white, but it's actually like yellow. Rycroft Marksman. And all of these are on trial. They're not necessarily going to be included in our catalogue, but we get sent plants from a number of places to see how they do. Westerton Reserve, which we had on trial late last year, and I didn't think we were going to do it again, but we had a bit of space and I thought, well, that'll squeeze in quite nicely, and we've kept it, and it's actually performing a lot better this year for us. And that's a sort of terracotta-y orangey colour. Rycroft Blackberry with a rogue plant of Bonaventure in there. That's my fault, that one, because I got the stock up and wasn't looking properly. And we actually got a sport off Rycroft Blackberry, which is very soft blush pink, which we'll see have a go at securing. Then we're on to all the Jasudis. Just starting to flush up very nicely, buds all starting to crack open a little bit. Jasudi Titan and Jasudi Sunburst. And I won't go through all of them this evening. There's still not quite as much colour I would like, but still be plenty by next week for anything we consider to be worthy of taking. And then there's some Rycroft Ella Grace there in the background, standing with potentially around about 20-30 stems we should be able to choose from. This is just a quick walk down one of the beds in our main plot, and a variety that's looking really outstanding for us at the minute outside is Val's Candy, all standing a good 4.5 foot high. And then White Moonlight, which obviously being outside is going to show a little bit of spotting. In the background you got Dakara Moon and Dakara Jody. Just beyond the Dakara Moon there's a seedling of Allens. And then really brightening up the place is Kenora Sunset with Kenora Wow. And then just behind there there's Clates Candy. Vitamin Superba looking really good. And Wooten Impact, an old variety, but that's probably the nicest we've seen that for a while. And then somebody was asking me about this one the other day, Kilburn Fiesta, as to why it's never seen on the bench. Well, it's got really good stems. Goes nicely back, and I suppose it's because it's like a blend of colours probably, rather than being the clean crisps of the whites and creams and yellows of the Moonlights. Then I mentioned about how some of the Fimbriates ones were doing up better outside. Well, that's just La Fleur de Soleil. Well, that's actually greened up a lot better inside. I think just it's been like cold temperatures and a bit shortage of nutrient, but it is short grower. Craiggowan in the background there, which is much earlier than normal. That's manipulating our stopping dates a little bit on that one and bringing it early. Cleo Lane. Well, then look at the Normandy wedding day I've got here. Somehow I think I need to get a cover on over this lot. And then you're looking over across at the medium decks with Asquith Mini there. Which are looking nice and clean, being outside, and Andrea Clark. And if Mr. Sutherland's watching this was his stock of Dahlia that he sent me. The third year we've had it, and I was a bit worried about the plants because we really struggled to get enough to get planted out, but it's looking very, very nice now. There's ordinary Eastwood Moonlight stock is courtesy of Andrew Robinson. Thank you, Andrew. And then this on the right here, Ruth Ann, which was a small ball that we tried from John Wood, which is a true orange on like good stems, and probably the nicest I have seen that look since we had it. And then there's the rest of the small balls looking across to the cactus, and just generally the fields as they are at the moment. And it's starting to rain and it's getting very dull, so I'm signing off.